Welcome back again to Bent Out of Shape, your metal art do-it-yourself resource. I'm Dan, Sue's behind the camera. Today we're going to do a little painting of flower stems. We do a lot of flowers for the store, so I don't do this many that often, so today's our opportunity to catch this episode and show you how we do it. If you like the content we're going to show you today, please subscribe and like this channel. It's very important to keep this machine rolling. So first thing I'm going to do is show you what we do for primer. Even though these paint, we use Rust-Oleum paints almost exclusively. Great paints. They all say paint and primer in one. Trust me, that makes for good reading. But this primer right here, Rusty Primer, it's the answer. I'm going to put my mask on in a minute when I start, so Sue may interject a little bit with some content. But anyway, the one that's unpainted we're going to prime, and then I've got two of them that are already primed that we're going to paint. So as I go, I'm going to keep going with my mask on. But what we do to start out, this is a good example. All of our stems get a nut welded on. All of our flowers are interchangeable. So from the smallest little daisy that would go on these stems they're all interchangeable, to a larger daisy that would go on a stem like this. That way, you know, we can switch things out in for storage and whatnot. It's just the way we've gone, and it's the answer. Even the big ones, I can show you how they're interchangeable later when I get done painting. So I'm gonna throw my mask on quick and get this going. We're gonna do a little priming first. And the wind changed a little bit since I started this morning, so I'm gonna stand back a little.
You don't have to get super heavy on your coats of paint or the primer, because you're doing multiple layers as you're priming and painting.
That is correct.
And again, we use all of the Rust-Oleum paints and primers. Those have seemed to treat us the best over the years.
So that's good.
And for the primer, you put on your primer, it doesn't take long for it to dry. You want it to dry to the touch before you start adding your next color. The next color he uses is the Satin Espresso for on the stem. That you want to give a nice healthy coat to, just making sure that you don't have any runs into the paint. And you don't have to really have a lot of dry time in between. You're just going to keep putting your other layers on now at this point. Because if you have a lot of dry time, sometimes you'll have an effect where it
Orange peels.
Gets orange peely. So the next color that he put on is, he goes from the Satin Espresso to the Hunter Green. And they used to have a Joshua tree, which was Dan's favorite. Is that what he's using today?
Yeah.
He is using up the last cans of his Joshua tree, and Rust-Oleum has discontinued that color. So he's going to have to get creative. I believe he's been trying to fill in with Satin Eden.
Yeah. It's not quite the same.
But it just doesn't have the same effect that he likes to have on there.
Okay, and then I clear coat everything.
And then everything gets a good heavy dose of clear coat, just to seal all the nooks and crannies.
This will show them a little bit better than that little one.
So I'm just going to get up close and personal to some of these flower stems that he already has painted. You see the Hunter Green with the Satin Espresso. And then the Joshua tree, he just uses the light green as a little texture.
All those have Eden on them. All those have Eden, all these have Joshua too.
My correction, I've been corrected. These little stems have Satin Eden on them. The bigger ones have Joshua Tree on them because he is running out of the Joshua Tree, his favorite go-to paint. And again, we make sure that we give everything a good dose of clear coat using the Rust-Oleum Gloss Clear. And we tell our customers when they buy our flowers to make sure that they give them a dose of the clear coat when they bring in their metal art products at the end of the season, to give them a good cleaning, to get all of the dust and dirt and grime off of them, and then give them a good dose of the clear coat so when they take it out in spring, it's ready to go into the garden.
This was the one that I primed. It's ready to go.
This is the original stem that he primed when we started the video, and now he's going and putting on the Satin Espresso, which he'll follow up
so it goes
with the
fast.
Hunter Green, and then either his Joshua Tree or San Eden. It does go fast.
Especially if there's a little breeze or the sun's out.
Yeah, if the weather is treating you well and you got a good breeze, it'll dry fast. The sun dries it faster. You just have to play your weather when you're painting outside.
The important thing about rebar is you have to paint it a couple different directions just because of that profile. You can't just stand it up and paint it. You'll never get it all.
So I don't know if you could hear that, but with your rebar, you have to paint it in multiple directions in order to get all of the nooks and crannies.
There.
And now a good shot of the clear coat. Just making sure you put on enough of the paint, but not too much that you get runs on them. So what is the dry time in between if you have too much time in between where you get orange peel, where then you have to wait so many days?
A couple hours. It says, it explains it in the instructions, but a lot of trial and error. There's latitude there with humidities. It's just, if you're gonna paint, just paint and get done with it. To think you're gonna come back in a few hours to finish, a lot of times will not be your friend.
But otherwise you have to wait
A couple of days and then you can redo it. So that was a lesson early on in our painting career, that we don't let it trap us now, that's for sure. So anyway, I just wanted to go back to the interchangeable flowers, why we use nuts on all the stems. So it doesn't matter if we're making a little daisy bucket like this, or the big flowers, they're all interchangeable. They all come off. And it doesn't matter how ornate they are or how basic they are. It's all 5/16 bolt length depending on what we're doing, and then the nuts all are the same. Makes it super easy and consistent. I don't know, you got anything else to add about that, Sue?
No, having the interchangeable flowers is nice for people when they're going to put and store their flowers away at the end of the season. It's just easier to store, and it's also easier to do the touch-up paint if they ever have to go through and do a touch-up on the paint job.
Because that flower can be taken right apart, and the white part will be separate from the yellow part, and you can repaint, put it back together, and look like brand new again.
Or if you get sick of the color, you can repaint and change your color scheme.
Don't bring it back to me. Paint it yourself. So anyway, if you like our content today and you want to see more videos like this, like us and subscribe to this channel. We'll keep doing what we're doing. Thank you very much.